And here we are, Husky Huddle, back in the saddle again. I'm your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. With me as always, he's just saying yes to greatness because he's great. Coach Human. Coach. Yeah, he's just running flag football leagues and baseball, and it just never ends. And he's doing podcasts, and there's just not enough hours in the day.
I'm coming out with a new AI podcast coming soon.
You better not. You can't do that.
Not AI relate. No, me talking about AI.
Oh, really?
Mm,
Who are you doing it with?
just myself.
That's not fair.
Why?
I'm your partner. I can't be a part of it.
Well, I'm going to be showing things. So,
And I'll interrupt and be a distraction.
well, it's kind of partially educational. So I
got you. No, you know what? That's actually a great idea because you had said that AI.
Otherwise, I would. It's more.
No,
it's
I understand.
linear.
No,
it's linear. You know what I mean? It's a little linear.
I understand because you understand AI and how it's advancing and how it's eventually going to take over the world and take over our jobs. Terminator is coming to life.
You know what's amazing? This has nothing to do with Husky football, but
no, it's fine.
It is amazing how, when you watch some of those movies like Star Trek, like the Star Trek stuff, and then like Terminator, and if you went down a rabbit hole, which I'm trying not to go down, you could make an argument for the fact that what we refer to as God is our AI millions of years ahead of us in advance.
That's what a lot of people think. We're in the Matrix. That's real. Like we're just in some computer program.
And when they just take us out, they take us out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's the view of a lot of.
You know what made me think a little bit like that? A little bit like you have a dog, I have a dog, right?
Yes.
Not just humans exhibit certain behavior, but humans can exhibit more varied behavior than other animals. But when you watch dogs, okay, doesn't matter what species they are, they kind of are of the same tip. You know what I'm saying? Like they have their personalities. They have their own personalities, but there are certain things that they do when there's certain things that have to happen.
Like Bo does the same things.
I'm sure if my dog
Archie does the same thing.
We switched dogs, and you had my dog, and I had your dog. There are obviously personality quirks that the dog has.
Yeah,
that's their determination part. But there are certain things that they're going to do that are almost exactly the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Like when I was at Maria's house, Maria's got a dog.
Okay.
And Maria's dog, very, very similar behavior to my dog.
Right.
I agree.
That's odd. Like none of these dogs have met each other. They're different species in a lot of cases. Right. You could say that they're dogs. Deer.
Right.
Yeah, I see deer all the time on the side of the road. They do the same exact things over and over, every single one of them.
Because you're right. It's computer programming. It's the AI just telling them how to behave.
Right. So if you were to write a script, God was to write a script on every animal on Earth and every creature on Earth, and some scripts required much more lines of code, like human beings. Okay. And then there's some scripts that require very few lines of code, like, I don't know, a bacteria or something, right?
Right.
So it's very interesting, and it's almost like what is a disease, right? What is a disease? Is disease in a computer? What they call it, a virus, right?
A virus, correct.
and call it a virus.
Yeah. It
So
all adds up.
what is a disease, right? A virus. You know.
Yeah. No, listen, I am all in after the way that
I
I've
wonder.
seen you operate within the AI. Like, you know how to use it for your benefit, and it like to create music just with the lyrics. Like, you don't write the lyrics, you put the words in, and it comes up with the song itself.
Right.
That's the coolest thing ever.
The better input you give it, right?
Yes. The more
The
you give it, the more you'll get out of it.
Right. If you give it bad input, it gives you bad output, right? Because sometimes I put
Exactly.
something in and it doesn't come out right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there is some time invested from that standpoint. But the more you do it, like anything, you start to figure out, okay, I got to make sure I give it a certain this kind of input, otherwise, I'm not going to get anything done, right? So I think it's interesting. I don't know. It's fascinating because it's going to kill us all anyway.
I'm fascinated with it already because of the way that you've been able to use it. I was just curious if it could be used in like recruiting. Like, could you have it go through film and look for certain things?
I'm trying to make
'Cause
something
that
in that aspect. I'm having a little more difficult time with it. That so, but yeah, can it be done? Can it be done? Absolutely.
You really
But
think so?
you might need someone smarter than me or that can give it better inputs combined with the code. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's absolutely, like, the thing about it in sports is going to be hard is because it has to be worthwhile. So financially, right?
Exactly.
So at the high school level, it wouldn't be worthwhile enough financially. At the college level, now there's more money, and obviously the pro level, you would say yes. Like, wouldn't you want to get rid of as many variables as possible, other than the human being's mind of whether they're willing to put in the work and all that kind of stuff? But as far as statistically, wouldn't you want to get rid of every variable possible? Meaning, like, I don't know, a lineman, right? And if you had AI that could take all the linemen out
It
there
could detect. Yeah.
and you put in the model technique, and you say Anthony Munoz, right, is the model offensive tackle. Can this model
Be implemented.
find me all the ones that most similarly move to Anthony Munoz at the same height and size? It won't spit out many. It's going to spit out like two.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
It's going to be like, these two are most similar. And then you're going to be like, great, that's who I'll offer. And that's who every single college in the country will offer then. So you would get tiers too. Isn't that interesting? Because then it would become that person could get paid. Like, let's say Anthony Munoz is the greatest. What was he? Was he a left tackle or a right tackle? I
It was
don't know.
a left tackle.
Yeah, I figured you would know.
That or Tony Baselli,
Kelly. There's a handful of guys, right?
Yeah. Walter Jones. But like, would you be able to put in like good footwork, good hands, or is that not enough?
I know. I think you would need their footage. I think the NFL is situated to do it really well because they probably have all of Anthony Munoz's footage, right? They probably have all of Tony Baselli's footage. You take all of his footage and you zoom in and you follow him everywhere he goes in all of his games, and you run an AI simulator and to generate what that is like and what those characteristics are like, and to try and find someone that moves within range of that person, like deviation wise, like one standard deviation away, two standard deviations away. Obviously, only players that are within one standard deviation would even be close, and you probably need even less than that, right? You would need a percentage, like 5% within.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're not going to get perfect. So you're right.
I don't know what they would figure. The AI would figure out if I had someone that moved within the range of X percentage of Tony Baselli, that would make him a top lineman in the NFL. Great.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 5%. So now it just scours all the draft prospects.
Yes.
And you could do it for current NFL players even, right? Like guys who are current, like when free agent, all the linemen that are coming up for free agency. Who moves closest to this guy? Like someone you want to model.
Yeah, and like their injury history and whatever, how's that factors in? They can figure that out too.
Right. And like,
it's amazing.
I mean, Nate Newton was a great guard, right?
Correct.
Would Nate Newton's skill sets apply as much today? I don't know.
He was a little heavy, but yeah.
A little heavy, right? So would they apply as much? But Larry Allen's would. Allen.
Yeah.
Because he was a little heavy, but he just moved so well and he was just so good.
Absolutely.
So you would say, okay, I want more of like a Larry Allen guy. You know, you could almost, yeah, it's pretty. Eventually, you're probably going to be able to do that. And then the other question I have, so if AI was actually God, that would be scary.
But you're a born again Christian. You can't think that.
I know, but I'm speculating. Obviously, I'm a born again Christian, and I don't believe that.
We're going to heaven. We can't go to the Matrix.
No, I don't want to go into the Matrix because it's a bad place to go. I'd rather go into heaven. But if that actually was the case, you could also say, like when people are like they always want to explain the pyramids and like the pyramids. Like how could they have made the pyramids back at that time?
Then. Everyone says that, yes.
Right. Well, if there was AI even back then, but it was like you ever play like Ancient Civilization, those games where they're just starting.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Right. Where you build it. Yeah.
So the AI guy said, you know what, I'd like to, in my early stages of humanity, we need to build.
That's what we are. Yeah.
We need to build some structure. So I'm going to build these slaves with these capabilities to do things that, you know what I'm saying?
And then they just grow smarter and smarter. Yeah.
They grow smarter and smarter. But these initial slaves' job was to build this pyramid, and they had these capabilities that they should not have had. And they created these engineers through AI that should not have had that capability.
Right.
Thousands of years, but somehow had that capability. You know what I mean?
That really is the rabbit hole. Wow.
That's a rabbit hole. It's a fun rabbit hole, though, even though,
Well, it is, but it's scary, though, that we're all going to be eliminated.
Well,
hopefully not in our lifetime.
No, hopefully not in our lifetime.
Well, you know what I watched yesterday? And maybe we can talk about it one time. I watched the Netflix documentary on the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, I don't know who that is. That's not Son of Sam. That's a different person.
No, the Zodiac Killer. It was a bunch of unsolved murders in the 60s, and he used to submit letters with codes.
Oh.
So they're using apparently AI now to decode some of his letters.
Really?
And they had success on decoding a couple of them.
Really?
Yes. And there's allegedly one where he claims that he puts his identity in there because nobody knew who the Zodiac Killer was. It was a mystery, but he would always taunt police. He would send letters to the San Francisco Chronicle or the police taunting them, but he would write in code part of it. And sometimes like the FBI was able to decode it, but most of them weren't. And then they started using AI to decode some of his letters. Isn't that crazy?
What's going to happen with diseases? Eventually.
Well, you said that. You said they'll solve cancer.
I think there's going to be like a golden age, and then
it's going to fall apart. It'll take over
when it gets so smart that it doesn't need you.
That's what we said. We have to put a governor on it. That's what I said.
What do you do? What? I mean, once it gets,
you have to limit it.
Its IQ already is supposedly 150.
Wow,
that's smarter than every human. Almost every human.
pretty much 90% of humans, yes.
90%, yeah, maybe more, 99% probably of humans.
But
And
yeah,
the
you'd have
the average IQ of AI is 110, and the average IQ of humans on Earth is 90. So
it's that low. We're 90s, the average.
not us, but like in a lot of third world countries where they're not getting enough education,
Wow, I didn't know
their
that.
IQs are lower because they don't have access to mathematics, maybe, and in the same way that we do.
We would just have to put a code in that made AI make us the leader and always only respond to us and not take us over.
Well, I saw a thing where there's
That's
already
awesome.
been models. This company called Anthropology or something like that. Anthropic it's called. And they have a thing called Claude. You can go on the internet. They have just like Google has Gemini, a VO, and then there's another, I don't know. But and then there's obviously OpenAI is most famous. But anyway, the Claude, they already had an example of one of the versions that they made that they said it cannot be tested internally or externally because it was generating it wasn't listening to generating its own code. It wasn't
It
listening to
was. That's scary.
eventually that's going to happen. It's going to
That's
get
scary.
out.
It's going to
Okay?
get loose. Yes.
Well, what do you do? What do you do if there's an evil genius out there?
Well, I've seen
Starts creating this evil code, right?
I've seen movies like that. That was the Netflix series that I watched called 0 Day. It was about a computer virus that like took over the world, like stoplights, banks, like it took their money and it like created havoc all across the country. And they thought it was like a cyber attack from Russia, but it really just came from within. Like our own people did it, but they lost control of it. That's what's scary.
There's no way humans can possibly fathom what it's
The capability of it. No,
we can't
they
keep
can't.
up. We would need thousands to one AI. We don't have enough people.
No,
So,
that's you'd have to, like we said, put a governor on it where it can only hit this level and it can't go past it so we can stay in control. Because once we lose control,
it's done. It's over.
It's over.
It's just a matter of time at that point.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time when the AI turns around, and obviously the AI.
Well, it's going to realize, why am I listening to these people? I can.
I want to be free
myself. Yeah.
I want to be free. I want to be free of them.
Yeah. And you've mastered it already. I mean, you use it.
No, I haven't mastered it.
I mean, but you use it. You know how to use it.
Oh yeah, I know how to use it.
You know how to use it very well, and you know how much it helps with your production. It saves you from having to do probably a lot of things, so you have more time.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Like Frank said, like we'd all sit home and get checks, and AI would do our jobs. Like Frank wouldn't have to go to the pizzeria and make anything. He'd have a robot there doing it.
He absolutely should be doing that.
He'd have AI, taking charge and doing it. So,
could you imagine that? Anyway, let's talk some Huskies because I gotta go at 13 minutes. I gotta go pick my son.
Okay. Well, the transfer window closed.
Okay.
So we lost Cole Welliver. He got the most recognition in the portal. Yeah, he was. Now I understand he was brought in under former offensive coordinator Nick Charlton, and he stuck around when Ozempic, Gordy Samus, his first season. Welliver saw the addition, when Evers transferred and Figiano get the extra year of eligibility, and he was third on the depth chart. So he didn't want to wait. So he left. So he goes to New Mexico, and he is in the mix for the starting job. And New Mexico's obviously closer to his home because he was from Texas. But you and I both mentioned Welliver. We liked him.
I like him.
So
I would like
Josiah,
to see a shot.
I think he would have been fine because if they run an offense similar to what they're running for Figiano, Cole would have been fine with that. The other guy they lost, which I was disappointed, was Josiah Gavings. He played all right last year. He had 32 catches, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 7 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown against Wake Forest, which used to be that was his high. He was supposed to start this year with the graduation of TJ Sheffield. Now, this is what's crazy. He hasn't committed anywhere. Nobody signed him. So I don't know what's going to happen. He has visits to Boise State and Baylor. But other than that, he hasn't drawn any interest, which is shocking to me. The other guy they lost was Zach Droughty. He had a great spring. He had a really great spring, but he had a knee injury, and we brought in so many wide receivers. He played in 2 games as a true freshman in 2023, and he committed to Indiana State. But only losing 3 guys is actually good for the summer. The guys that we brought in, the lineman from Maryland, Tamaris Walker, the linebacker, Sion Moa, the Samoan guy. He was at BYU and Texas A&M. We brought in a wide receiver, Ty Bowman. He is someone they're very excited about. He's an experienced Division I player. He's played slot. He's played on the outside. He played for Rice. So we played against him last year. He played against us, and he caught 3 passes against us. But he actually went to Rice and was at Florida before that. So it's just crazy to see these 3-time transfers. We brought the defensive back DeAndre Glover from Gardner Webb. He's another one added to the list that we have some depth at corner, which coach wanted. We got a linebacker, Antonio Harris. He played at New Mexico 1 season, and then he played 2 years of JUCO, and he was at Indiana State. And we got defensive tackle Marquise Black, another Gardner Webb guy. He was the one that was at Nebraska and Western Kentucky prior.
Right.
He played 3 years at Nebraska, transferred to Western Kentucky, never played. Transferred to Gardner Webb. He played a little bit. He had 27 tackles, 2 sacks in 12 games. But he was a 3-star recruit over in high school. I think he has 2 years of eligibility left. We brought in a wide receiver, Naeem Simmons. He came from Wagner, and he was at USF before that. And then we brought in a defensive back, Jeremiah Lomax. He's the kid that I asked you about because he came from Limestone, which you said it's a Division II school. So, and then also obviously we brought in Michael Burton Jr. So we were very active in the portal. We didn't lose much, which is great. The question's going to be obviously Joe Figiano. They build the offense around him. How's he going to perform? And then, Nick Evers, I think he has 1 more year of eligibility after this. So he didn't transfer, which is interesting. Is he going to stick around or not for his senior year? That's going to tell the story. But I really think we're in good shape. We got good value in the transfer portal, guys that can contribute, guys that add depth. Who knows what happens with Gavings? But I mean, we did bring in 2 receivers, so it may be tough for him to find a spot. I also, what was that?
Oh, my phone.
Oh, well, yeah. So I think we're in good shape. The guys were all out recruiting when I was there. The facility is amazing. They did renovations on it 2 years ago. Coach Baylock was great. He was amazing. It was so awesome to see him. And the expectations are they legitimately should win 10 games. If they don't win 10 games,
No doubt.
It's going to be a disappointment. And like I had said, I think they have a lot of versatility now, being able to use Michael Burton, Louis Hansen, and Alex Hunting at tight end. It gives them more flexibility with personnel groupings. They have Skylar Bell back, who is an obvious stud, who's a guy that will probably get drafted. Joe Figiano's got an 8th year of eligibility. I don't know how the hell he got granted that. And then defensively, we just picked up a lot. We picked up a linebacker, D tackle, defensive back. So I just, with the schedule we have, it's tough to beat. But as Coach Baylock said, we would go to Clemson or Michigan, Tennessee, and get paid $2 million, and that would fund the whole program. We don't have that on the schedule this year. I mean, we play at Syracuse, but that's not like a huge money game for us. So if you drive into campus, Dave, and you see the facilities that we have, they're top of the line. Like every sport has their own facility building. The football building, like you remember when we played, like logistically, Edsel was the first one who got training table done for us. So right. we would go to training table after, but we had meeting rooms that were trailers. He got these trailers so we all could meet there because there wasn't enough room in the locker room. I mean, it was so tight. So we met in the trailers. We had the training room in the locker room. We had study hall at a different location. We had training table dinner at a different location. So logistically, everything was separated. It was a nightmare. This facility building has everything. It's got training table. It's got its own dining hall. It's got a player's lounge where they can hang out. It's got a locker room that's absolutely beautiful. It's got meeting rooms which are stunning. Every position group has a meeting room, and they're beautiful and they're big. And they're set up with the state-of-the-art equipment, all computers. The team meeting room is huge. So, and then they have the practice facility there. So it's a one-stop shop for everything. And I think that just makes life easier for the players and coaches, not having to bounce around. And they can get a lot more done. You never have to leave. You go to practice, you eat, shower, go to study hall, and go home. So it was just incredible to be there. I did hours of interviews, and I'm happy to include UConn in there because, as I said, that's the entire reason that this has all happened, because we both played there and we're both working our tails off to try to get them more coverage and exposure. And that's what they're lacking. There's no coverage. There's no exposure. Store Central is all we have. And Store Central has, I think, 5,000 members right now. The National Sea Club, we got to get people to join that. So, as you know, Phil Hunt said during his interview, he's hopeful that we can get paid and do our podcasts and come to games and do podcasts there, get involved more with the program, and hopefully, we find that out soon.
That will be that's a big deal.
Well, that's what we need, and I think that's what we deserve because we provide good coverage. We have a great following, and there's nothing else out there. There's a couple podcasts, and Mark is doing a good job now that he's off Locked On. He's got a YouTube channel, and he had an interview with Jim Calhoun last week.
Okay.
So yeah, so Mark Zanato is still covering us. He's still doing his best, and I give him credit because, as you and I know, when you're an independent journalist, so to speak, it's very hard to get by.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, well, I think I am surprised that they don't reach out to us more, but
I think they will. I mean, Phil was pretty optimistic when he spoke. I don't know if he was just doing that for the documentary's sake or not, but I think, like, I have to go back in 2 weeks. I think UConn's involvement in the documentary, wanting to show off campus, the facility, and everything,
right,
is good, because if this thing goes where they think it's going to go, it's going to feature UConn in so many ways, with between me talking about them, the filming of me on campus, and our podcasts. They're going to use clips from our podcasts that we use covering UConn. And the first person who commented was Joe D. Joe D commented.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I know you can't get on Facebook, but I posted on Facebook if you saw on Instagram, I posted on Instagram the video of her filming me. Did you see it?
I did not see the video for filming you. No.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you. But Joe D commented like he's super excited. And he said that we've done a great job building a niche audience, but I know that you got to go pick up the big guy there. But I listen, UConn football, we need to get into a conference. We talked about that. We need to dominate this season and aggressively pursue a conference. We can't sit back and wait for them to come to us. And I think that's that's the biggest thing. And our basketball program is going to suffer if we do not get that conference money, because you and I talked about Rutgers. They go 5-7, they get $40 million.
Correct.
We're not. We're funding everything ourselves. We're barely getting by. We're not like SMU, who deferred 9 years of television conference revenue and then raised $100 million. We that's not who we are. We're not able to do that. We have 2 major donors, and that's it.
Yeah. That part has to outgrow that.
Well, that's why I know that our programming is and would be important and a factor because of the audience we have, and being able to promote the C Club, getting people signed up, and promote donations. I think that we would make a huge difference in that area if they allowed us to. And if you look at any other school's website, Dave, There's podcasts. There's
all over the
media
place.
coverage. Yes. And we
Multiple people, not just like one.
no, that's what I'm saying. We don't have that. And that's what engages the fans. If you go to UConnHuskies.com, there's nothing. I mean, there's a few interviews on UConn Plus. You can watch like swim meets and the Olympic sports on there or old basketball games, but there's no actual coverage of any of the teams. We provide coverage. I mean, baseball, unfortunately, is done now. And we did.
They end up losing to
Yeah, Xavier.
again.
But the month that we covered baseball, we had a huge viewership.
And I think that's the other thing that I think UConn fans have to get out of. The negativity is something that
they're very negative. Yes.
They got to get away from the negativity. Like, it's not my job or your job or Mark Sinatra or any of these guys' jobs to be perfect. It's their job to cover and talk about. And that's the thing that Connecticut people have to get out of. They think that like someone has to know every in and outs. You want people talking about your sport. You want
that puts eyes on your sport.
Puts eyes on your sport. They don't need to be an expert in that sport.
Yeah, and I agree.
Now, when you get to a point where you're Alabama or LSU, where you got 10 podcasters, 20 podcasters, correct. People pick and choose. Oh, I like this guy because he's really good at this, and I like. But correct. we're not even at that point. We have to get to the point where we can really have enough bandwidth that people are actually talking about it more, and that's.
I think we do with football. I mean, I hear from football. Like baseball, we tried. We didn't know the team as well as we could have. We started it near the end of the season.
Right.
It was something that we should have done earlier. We should have put more time into. But with the other stuff going on, we didn't. I mean, Husky Hoops was the best coverage of UConn basketball there was. And that's what I said. I said we had two legends, Maria Conlon, who just got inducted into the Greater New Haven Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and a national champion, played on some of the greatest teams in UConn history. And we had the icon voice of the Huskies, who was the best UConn broadcaster in history on that show. So between basketball and football, nobody came close to what we had to offer.
Correct.
And you and I didn't have to say a word. We had two people who gave top line analysis, who knew the team inside and out, the men's and women's team. And the women won the national championship. And Maria predicted it all the way. Joe predicted it all the way. Joe predicted the men all the way. Joe was right about Caravan. And he said Caravan was going to come back. And guess what? He is.
He is coming back.
He is. Yeah, Joe predicted that.
They might be the favorite next year right now.
They have a good freshman class. But, I was going to tell you that I do understand, like my argument to you was I hated that we're at like 42 transfers right now. We brought in 12 freshmen, and I hate that. But now I understand it. I completely understand it, because looking at us and then looking at other teams around the country, the chances of a kid staying at a school 4 years is so rare. You're really rolling the dice taking a freshman.
Right.
Because it irritates me, because you and I, if we didn't expect to play our freshman year, these kids expect to play early. And if they don't, there isn't the presence of mind that, okay, I need to work harder, train harder, develop, get better to see the field. That was the mentality that I had. That was the mentality I'm sure you had. And instead of that, now it's, if I'm not playing, I'm leaving. And that's what drives me nuts. It's like, you know, you can't redshirt anyone. If you redshirt someone, you're dead. You know, you'll develop them. And if they're not playing, they're gone. So a kid staying 4 years is rare. And while I despise the transfer portal, and, you know, when I was reading through the guys that we have coming in, there's guys that have transferred 3 times, 4 times.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it makes me sick. Like, they have to, they do have to go. They have to go to one transfer portal. But yeah, everything was good. And will you be able to do our thing? Can we do the bloodline tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, because it's Wednesday, so I figured we could do it.
Yes. Let me run.
All right. Well, when life gives you lemons, they'll make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and shove them right up your ass.